As a program of Little Tokyo Service Center, Changing Tides strives to increase dialogue surrounding mental health within the AAPI community with a strong focus on the Japanese American community. What began as an initiative back in 2018 has grown into a widespread effort to destigmatize mental health through events, outreach and education, and open conversations. Some of our past events have included a paint night, a mental health art pop-up in Little Tokyo, a candle making workshop, and a mental health conference. Since the start of Safer at Home, we have been working to cultivate online spaces for folks to connect and share. In April, we held a webinar in collaboration with the Japanese American National Museum about managing wellness during this time. We have also been holding weekly CT cafes where youth-age folks can hop on a video call, sip on a beverage, and discuss a topic related to mental health. Especially in these recent months, we see the continued need for spaces to share and openly discuss mental health and wellness. For a glimpse into what Changing Tides is about, we invite you to watch the following clip, which includes a conversation between one of our Changing Tides crew members, Matthew Yonemura, and his father, Jeffry.
I think we kind of just started about like our own personal mental health struggles.
Yeah.
So, should I go or do you want to go?
I can go.
Okay.
August in 2005 was like a real turning point in my life. We had gone to a great family vacation in Kauai for 10 days, really relaxed. Came back, and my first day back at work, I just had this anxiety attack. And I got really, really depressed. I became dysfunctional at work. I would often go into my office, close the door, turn out the lights, and put my head down just to kind of gather myself. That's when I knew that I needed help. Although, when I look back in time, there were a lot of earlier precursors earlier in my life that told me that I was kind of destined to get depression. Fortunately, there was a lot of good help. I was able to get the help of mental health professionals. Fortunately, for me, it was a matter of getting on a med regimen that allowed me to balance my chemicals, my chemical imbalances. So it actually took like 2 or 3 years to get the recipe right. But I've been great for at least 12 years. But I'll be on meds for the rest of my life. I know that. And that's what it's going to take. Unfortunately, I passed this along to my 3 sons.
Which is me, one of them.
You're one of them.
Yeah, I think for me, it mostly started probably sophomore year of high school was when it got really bad.
Sophomore that early?
I think that's like when I started having like, I wouldn't say episodes, but I started having some really bad downs.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was when Grandma passed. I think that was when Grandma passed.
I thought it
2015.
Was it
2015?
Okay.
So that's when I started having like hints at, me taking my turn of early signs of depression. But I think, I was able to pinpoint like, I think my poor mood and being distant from people is due to this specific event, grandma passing. But, so, I didn't think it was worth seeing a doctor or anything like that just yet. But then, similar stuff junior year, that's when it got worse. There were still little moments here and there. But it really came down to like senior year of high school when there was just the first day of school and the summer going into it, it was hard to find any reasons to be happy. And, you know, there were a lot of reasons I felt like I should be happy. Like I was the president of like the student leadership group on campus. I was going to be editor-in-chief of the yearbook. I had good grades and a lot of friends. And, you know, I was going into senior year. But like there were just multiple events where all my peers seemed to be happy, but I couldn't find joy in any of it for whatever reason. So I just decided, you know, it was probably best to see a doctor and get help.
So that was the irony for me too when it first hit me, is that I had no reason to be depressed.
Yeah.
I had a great career. I have a great family and wife. There was no reason for me to be depressed, and that's when I really knew I needed help.
Mm-hmm. And similar to what you said about when you would go into your office, that was kind of like my reaction during lunches at school. I didn't have an office, but I'd find like the most quiet place on campus and just eat by myself. Or when I got home from school, instead of coming into the house, I would just turn off the car and sit in the car for like 5 minutes before I could even walk in.
You know, my depression was like one of my closest guarded secrets. Mom knew. Not even my really close friends knew. And I figured one of these days when you guys get in, when you boys got into your 40s or something like that, I needed to tell you. I just didn't know I needed to tell you that early in your lives. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, and I think for me, I was talking to my peers and realizing so many people that no matter how young in high school felt similar stuff, but similar to how you and I couldn't explain why, no one else could either. So, you know, that's when I was able to open up and talk to people about it, I realized I wasn't so alone in it, and that helped me a lot too. And I think that's what's really cool about what Changing Tides is doing and what so many professional athletes or celebrities who have platforms are doing.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't just have to be a celebrity. That's why I think it's cool about Changing Tides, is that it's a grassroots discussion among peers, and even if it's someone you don't know immediately, they also care about opening up this discussion. So I'm glad that you and I are both able to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, in 2018, Margaret approached me and wanted me to become part of Changing Tides, and I didn't even know what it was. But when I found out how its mission is to deal with the stigma associated with mental health, I was all in. And it's in many ways it's changed my life. You know, if I have to, if I'm going to be part of something that's about eliminating the stigma associated with mental health, I have to be part of the solution. I can't just watch from the sidelines. So last year I spoke as part of a panel at the Changing Tides Making Waves conference. Earlier this year, I spoke on a panel in Washington, D.C. even. And just taking a leadership role as part of the Changing Tides Committee, that's something I feel very strongly about.
And for me, I wanted to help out Changing Tides in any way. When it was early involvement for me, I was just doing videos for the crew and for the events that they put on. But ever since I came on as a crew member, you know, it's validating to, first of all, be a part of the group, but to know that there's so many more people out there that listen to our message, and that I could be a part of sending that message out. and developing ways for us to do outreach or talk to new people or fundraise or whatever it might be. Because I think for me, the biggest validation of changing tides is that me as an individual, I could only influence so many people. I did have really great discussions with people, and I was able to put my story in my yearbook, and I did a blog for a time. And I've tried to be very outspoken about mental health because I know how hard it could be to approach it alone, especially with people who aren't as lucky as me to have parents as supportive as you and mom.
Mm.
Because some parents don't want their kids to be put on medication, even if it's entirely necessary. I think the idea of brain medication or whatever it might be is so daunting to people, but you guys understand that it's necessary for you
Mm-hmm.
and for me and for your kids, because you're willing to have that discussion.
You were really ahead of your time, because when you wrote that article in the yearbook, when you started your blog, watching you show that kind of courage helped make me step up to the plate. So for me, it's been a big learning experience. One of the things that I've learned is there are a lot of people out there that are just like me. A lot of people have depression, anxiety, and just to mention a few of the issues, right? I believe we both get our reward out of doing this is if we help one person, 2 persons, however many people that we can affect to come out and get the help.
Mhm.
My hope is that in the end, that people won't be viewed as normal versus abnormal, but a mental health issue will be viewed no differently than a physical health issue. Mental health issues are hard to deal with because you can't see them. It's not like a scrape on your arm or a broken bone. And that's what makes it a challenging field as well.
I just want to say that although, I did take some steps to open up a conversation about me personally, to see the way that you have learned to open up about your experiences and advocate for others has inspired me to do more than just stop at writing a yearbook article or doing a blog. Because without you joining Changing Tides, I don't know if I would have been motivated to be a crew member either, because you were a part of it before me. So although I've learned from my own personal experiences, it's been great to learn from the way you've grown from it too, and the way we've been able to kind of motivate one another to help others and help each other. I think it's always about taking care of yourself, and then from there learning how to pay it forward so that others can learn and grow and pay it forward as well.
Yeah.
Cool, are you good?
I'm good.
Nice. We're good.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that this candid conversation between Jeffrey and Matthew has encouraged or resonated with you in some way. If you would like to learn more about Changing Tides, please feel free to visit our website, thechangingtides.org, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Stay safe, everyone, and a big thanks to Nisei Week for allowing us to share a little bit about what we do. Let's continue to change the tides on mental health.